Our next speaker is Campacc, who is here representing the Kurdish Federation of the United Kingdom. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My talk is going to be very, very short and brief, as I'm not prepared, so apologies for that. But I want to start with an anecdote, very well-known anecdote of during the Second World War. A German officer goes visits Picasso's house in Paris, and there he sees a Guernica. He's shocked with this modernist chaos, and he goes and he asks Picasso, "You did this?" And Picasso calmly replies, "No, you did this." Now, I think most of our stories are pretty much related to this, and I think most communities should turn around and say the British or the oppressive states that it's you did this. The state that we are in is a true result of your politics. Now, I think what we have today is I think we need to kind of analyze the concept of terrorism. The concept of terrorism there's no one single definition anymore. It's rather a concept that has no substance. It's an empty concept. It's reduced to an empty concept that is waiting for the powerful to fill in whatever they want to put it as. I mean, for example, if I'm a Kurdish and I've got brothers or sisters in the mountains and I've got some kind of emotional attachment, and as just Vicky just said, that if you have some kind of emotional attachment to your cause, your ideology, or your friends, you can be called terrorists simply for having emotional attachment. So even if I have brothers or sisters in the mountains fighting for a Kurdish cause, I shouldn't be having any kind of a love or empathy towards them. And this is the situation that we are in today. So therefore, the concept of terrorism is an empty concept, that there's no substance, but rather it is used by the states to justify their actions. One thing that I want to highlight is that, I mean, so in these circumstances, in these kind of environment, it's not only the communities, not only Kurds or the Basques, or it's anyone potentially can be called terrorist. So I think we should acknowledge that. It's not just, I think, yeah, we need to highlight that. It's not just the certain communities, it's not just the communities that have national struggle going on or human rights violations, but it's every single individual who lives in the UK, in Turkey, in Germany are potential terrorists. So the state has this monopoly to call anyone a terrorist at any time. It's in their power, in their hands. I wanted to talk about intimidation by British security forces on Kurds, but I think Vicky touched upon it, so I don't want to kind of dwell on that. But those brochures that produced by Campacc are, I think, quite important and has significance, not only for outlining the 4 different communities and their causes, but also to outline what these terrorist laws are and targeting who and what. So in that sense, I think it is also important that these brochures will get will be informing people and get their attentions. Not necessarily, again, for the Kurds or Baloch or any other community. And I think another thing that I would like to touch upon is that these kind of meetings are quite important and necessary tool for communities to reorganize themselves. However, every time we make some kind of approach, it doesn't go to say, for example, we should have some kind of unification, we should sort of challenge the terrorist laws together, we should be acting together. These good intentions, it doesn't go beyond the good intentions. Somehow it doesn't turn into a practicality. And this is, I think, one of the biggest and main issues for our communities. So I think it would be a good idea that there be some kind of discussions after this, that in what ways that we can actually have some kind of a unified community that could actually challenge and put a real force against the terrorist laws. Not only in Britain, but also in other states, in Germany, in France. I mean, it's quite interesting. I read this news just a couple of hours ago. In Germany, you can't have a cultural event. Basically, they say that this is not a cultural event, it's going to be a terrorist event. So they can make a decision on that. So how are we going to challenge that? How are we going to challenge those absurdities? You know, in a sense, we're living in an age of absurdity where the most realities and truths are turned upside down. And I think, yeah, we need to have some kind of brainstorming and to question how we're going to tackle those terrorism laws, how we're going to tackle these policies. And I think Campacc is a really good platform to voice that and add that. So that's pretty much my talk. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kasim, particularly for raising that important point about what our solidarity will look like and what ideas